morning to you too, folks. It's 2:32 in the morning. So Sunday morning. It is June 21st, 2020. And I'm in Weaver John C. Enter Service, Rosewood, California. Do I dare say what today is supposed to be? Well, certainly this is not National Dog Day. Because if this was National Dog Day, I'd be celebrating my mama's. A very shivering Chihuahua mix. She's not quite sure about anything out there. She thought she heard noises. She probably heard fireworks at this time of the morning. I've got idiots in the town of Roseman at different portions of it that launch fireworks. And right now, she's in need of TLC. I wasn't going to be starting a video like this, but in light of what's theoretically and technically today, for some it's going to be a National Dog Day. Others have to deal with another half of their family, either alive or dead, and they're going to celebrate them one way or another. A male influencer in her family that's not a male sibling, but the companion piece to the mother. Dare I put this in writing or make a description of this day? Or do I actually need to follow through on this? Sorry about this. Alright. And she's a tweener, by the way. Chihuahua Dachshund mix. About 16. They're very scared mamas. Yeah, she is. She's a scared mama. Hey, what's going on, baby? Okay? I know. It's too early for this shit. Well, it's alright. Put you down. Alright, honey. She shivers and shakes because that's part of the Chihuahua in her, and she heard noises out there, including the bangs out there, and that's what drove her nuts. She and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry dog out here. And you are not going back for them. No, you're not. Hey, you're not getting off, you silly dog. She's trying to find a hiding spot to feel comfortable in. She don't like the other areas she says she's got. I don't live in a very palatial place. And right now, what she's looking for is just simple comfort and void or a place to hide. This is alright. Hey, you're alright. Mamas. She has to find a place to calm down. She needs to find a hiding spot. Excuse me 1 second, I'll put this on pause. Just like fathers have to look after their kids, she's my kid. I treat her as such. She may be mama's because she gave birth to a pup a long time ago, and that's what got her nicknames. But she's still my baby. And I'm still her daddy. So in that way, I guess I am her father of sorts. Crossbreeding of sorts, I guess. I don't know. That makes me worried about her and every other dog out there that people own. Pets that they keep losing because of the damn fireworks out there that are driving people crazy. This is supposed to be a day where the living is supposed to be celebrated, who are fathers, and some people consider pet owners not fathers. But I do. It's my situation anyway. I have a dog that still needs me. And I was going to be talking about my own biological sperm donor. His name was Jack Elmer Weaver. He shacked up with my mother, and off the coast of Catalina, where I was conceived. I'm not going to give you the gory details. That's all the details my mother would give me. Theoretically, he was a magician. He was a mechanic. He was a creative genius. He owned stock. He invented the machines that did other things. Sold off the patents. He owned a yacht. He dropped his middle name, Elmer, because of what it stood for. I suppose, and I suspect at this point over here, I may have elements in my blood, but I don't know if you're going to be tested for that or not. Well, I never did feel like I was like that. I know I felt I was off, but not that off. Some people consider me being autistic. There was a shrink actually at one time that said I was autistic. First time I come into the office and she thought I had Asperger's. Like no doctor ever diagnosed me as having Asperger's. No doctor ever diagnosed me having autism in the first place. Just a premature kid coming out with plumbing issues 1 month early. So I guess in that one they probably thought I had developmental issues. In all this time of gestation and coming up from birth, my father wasn't exactly close to my mother at that point. I mean, as soon as he found out Mom was pregnant, and like every other deadbeat dad out there, they hightailed it. He stayed away. Oh, he tried to support me with a few checks left and right, but there was no contact. There was no actual physical contact, no visitations, nothing. He wanted to have nothing to do with me, and he wanted to absolve every responsibility he could. I still have the birth certificate. I have an old picture of him somewhere around here. And it was with me and Ma. Actually, it was with my biological sperm donor and Ma. And well before I got into the picture. My brother, on the other hand, when he was alive, God rest his soul, he's 8 years older than I am. Well, technically 7.5 years, but close enough. Different father, and different story on that one. I suppose I could celebrate Father's Day because of him, but one guy's dead, past several years. The other one I never knew existed. Still alive or dead, I don't know. But I had a hell of a resentment towards the guy. At the age of 7 years old, Ma thought it was time for me to be introduced to him. And she dialed up his place, the last time she had a number of him, handed the phone over to me, identified himself as his son, and he hangs up on me. Tried to dial back, and he wasn't there anymore. Line got disconnected. He disappeared. So did the money. So, there's not much I could do, except learn how to hate the son of a bitch for a hell of a long while. Which I did. I make a recommendation to all those fatherless folk out there. It's not pleasant having lifelong animosity and lifelong anger, a hell of a resentment towards your missing half of sorts. It was almost an impossible task for Ma to raise two people, but she did. She had a hell of a lot of strength and determination. She tried passing that off to her two boys. Can I put you down? Are you still okay? Okay. Yeah, that's what the radars. Mamas. You okay? Are you okay? Are you telling me that you still got enough damn thing out there? Come on. Just put you down. Come on. You're alright. It's alright, mamas. Look. They're not coming for you. They're not coming for you, babe. You're alright. You're safe. You're safe, honey. She's worrying. She's worrying that they're going to start up again, and she just can't settle down and relax. That's okay. I can't settle down and relax either. Especially when you're dealing with the heat out here in Rosewood, California at this point. I mean, right now, thank God it's not 80 or 90 degrees outside. It's just a comfortable 73 degrees, a little bit chilly. But out there, she was hearing somebody shooting off fireworks somewhere into town, and it spooked her. Different level of fear when my father was told that I was born and that Ma wasn't going to see my father anymore. They were never married. I was considered a love child. I was considered just like a kid under a single parent. Yes, I had a biological sperm donor, I told people. No, what's your father's name? Oh, you mean my biological sperm donor. And throughout the years, that's what I called him as. As I said before, I had a hell of a lot of resentment towards him. A lot of anger. It ate me up a great deal. I wasn't able to have any relationships. I wasn't able to keep relationships. I was mostly eating myself alive with a hell of a lot of anger and a lot of hate. It takes a toll on a person down the road. Anger, resentments are one of the major things that creates an alcoholic. And it screws up a person really bad. Yeah. I did. And I had to seek help as an adult. But it's hard. It's hard to acknowledge things like that. It's hard to tell people what happened. Sometimes I say it nonchalantly, but in reality, I envy a lot of people. I envy those who are actually knowing how, if they actually had a father and a mother, even though it was a broken relationship, even though they were both divorced, if they were both alive and they actually had a relationship going on, maybe hopefully a positive one with one or both of them, then maybe it would make it a lot of sense to celebrate Mother's Day and or Father's Day. I celebrated Mother's Day all the time, and there was not a day to celebrate a brother. Otherwise, I'd be celebrating my brother. God rest his soul. And at this point, there's nothing much I can do to celebrate my brother as a father. My brother was never a father, at least either officially or unofficially. At least there was a rumor he told me at one time. but it was never confirmed. And I don't know whether or not if he actually was married and actually had a kid, or had a kid. I don't know, because I don't have any records and I don't have anything to go on other than a story or two about his. So quite frankly, he got buried in memory. He got buried in time. So one of my neighbors is up. Got a car out there roaring like crazy. And my dog is still needy. I would have to consider her my daughter, but it's my emotional support animal. Who needs my support at this point. But for a long while, I never knew my father. For a long while, I never knew if he existed or not. And I never knew how to contact him or how to say anything about him or towards him. Of course, I tried to do that on Facebook at one time. If there were any relatives, if there was any siblings, if there was any generations that he procreated, did he marry another woman? Did he do the same damn stuff like I just said? Another hit and run and then left a lot of casualties behind. I still have a little bit of anger and resentment. I still got to work on that. I know it has to be fear. It has to be fear because he was afraid of having a relationship and having commitments. And if he did, it would mean something that he had to grow up. And apparently, his mentality was he didn't want to grow up. He's basically like a Peter Pan in his head, maybe. He may have been brilliant about a few other things. He may have been brilliant probably at mathematics or magicians or mechanics at this point over here. But when it came down for matters of the heart, he really wasn't mature. He really wasn't. And I suppose he didn't know how to express that to the world or to his own sibling. I'm supposed to have some kind of compassion for him and empathy. I still don't. But I'd like to have answers from the son of a bitch. I know he's not alive. It's a gut thing. And it's also a guess, because I'm 54 and he's got to be, pushing in his 80s. He's got to be pushing up daisies. I don't know if he actually had any inheritors, if he actually had wealth, if he actually lost the wealth. I would like to know something about the son of a bitch. A lot more than what my mother had told me throughout the years. Ma told me he was funny. Maybe. But I still don't have a clue who or what he is. Other than stories, and it doesn't help me much. I finally met my brother's father 20 some odd years ago. He was working for, was International Harvester, and then he worked for another trucking company, International, based out in Texas. And he was a sales representative, made it up there in the VP area, and he still had to make some sales. My brother couldn't even get into it. Nepotism. But at least I told my brother throughout these years, you may not have liked your father, but at least feel lucky that you knew your father. I reminded him all this time before he died. And I was grateful enough that I knew something about his father. Besides the stories, I actually met the guy once. And for Christmas, before he passed away, I actually had a gift card for the guy. Either I still have it or a copy of it or something, I don't know. But it was something of a proof that he accepted me into his family. He accepted me as a son. I never knew him personally, except for the stories I heard from my brother, and I met him once when me and David went out to City of Commerce, and I met him at a hotel and spent about a few hours. Dave and him were talking about old times. A guy named Mark used to be a direct son, or no, probably another stepson, but hey, Tommy Joe, Uncle Smitty. Trying to remember these details is a little hard. Because they do matter. They do matter. So I remember Brother's phone, there was communications, and I still got to get it powered up so I can look and dig out those communications. Because they mean a lot. And I had to contact his sister in Texas. My brother's name was David Worth Shaw. Pecan Gap was basically the place where all the Shaws were getting buried at left and right, including his uncles and aunts. I don't know where his father was buried. The year that Dave and I had moved from one place to another place, it was either 2014 or 2015, somewhere in that area. That weekend, that day, my brother's father, Harry Worth, I think it was Harry Shaw, died, and we just got locked out of our trailer home due to an eviction situation. Long story on that one. He didn't have time to grieve. The last wife of Harry Shaw was Charlemagne, and Dave had to push her real hard regarding previous care when he was alive, and then for other details afterwards. I say these things because they're important to me and maybe to future posterity, I don't know. But I needed something on record of the things I learned, things that are still rattling in the head, things that matter the most, the quiet times of the morning. Some things do matter. Family history matters. It matters a great deal because it tells you where you're going, it tells you where you've been, it tells you who you are. But you make the determination of who you are and where you're going. It's just a way of identifying. And maybe I could celebrate my father's, actually maybe celebrate my brother's father as my father. He accepted me, adopted me, unofficially. His family had a lot of love for me, and I never even realized that. But I never knew the side of my family, my own biologic. That's what makes it hurt. So, this is one time when I'm going to have A happy Father's Day to my brother's father, Harry Shaw, even though he's passed away a long time ago. I'll accept him as my father, adopted, because somehow I got affection for the guy. He and my father had different have different aspects. At least Harry was in my brother's life. He was in my life. The biological sperm donor was never in my life, just as a hit and run. And that's what makes it hard as hell. So, that's part of my history out there. Happy Father's Day to those who are still living and to those who are still dead. To those you have a resentment against and those who you still love. And to those fathers that haven't been just yet. To those fathers that hadn't had a chance yet. It's supposed to be a happy Father's Day, but somehow it was never a happy Father's Day. It was a very somber day. But happy Father's Day anyway.